Hello to the viewers of The Pioneer. We continue to bring you the latest and most striking developments in the deepening waters of war. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is taking an unexpected turn. This war, which has been going on for nearly 3 years, is no longer limited to Ukrainian territory. With its bold and decisive moves, the Ukrainian army is moving the borders of the war to Russian territory and making radical changes in military strategies. The recent fires and explosions at the Marinovka military airfield in the Volgograd region, one of Russia's strategic air bases, are making us rethink the dimensions of the war. This airfield was home to Su-34 fighter bombers, an important part of Russia's air power. But the explosions and fire at this critical base show that the war is now moving into the heart of Russia. This bold offensive by the Ukrainian army is not only a military success but also raises many questions about how it will affect the future course of the war. It remains to be seen how Russia will respond to this offensive, how Ukraine's strategic moves will be shaped, and what direction all of this will give to the war. We are also keeping a close eye on how these developments will affect morale and the economic situation inside Russia. In the coming minutes, we'll take a detailed look behind the scenes of these events in Marinovka and the possible consequences of the war moving to Russian territory. We'll share with you the impact of this attack on the military and civilian infrastructure in Russia, the strategic thinking behind Ukraine's bold move, and possible scenarios for the future of the war. Stay tuned, because in this new phase of the war, something new could happen at any moment. Is Ukraine's decision to move the center of the war to Russia just a military strategy or the first steps of a bigger plan? We will continue to bring you the most accurate and up-to-date information as we search for the answer to this question. As the Pioneer team, we strive to bring you the latest developments in the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. We also read all the comments you leave on our videos. Please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments section. Tell us in the comments what content you would like to see on the Pioneer channel. And now let's begin if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. The recent massive fires and explosions at the Marinovka military airfield in the Volgograd region show a dangerous escalation of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The airfield is known as a critical base for the Su-34 fighter bombers, one of Russia's most important military assets. However, the events at this base highlight the weakness of Russian military power and Ukraine's increasing bold strategic moves. The site of the fires and explosions is seen as evidence that Ukraine's offensive has gone beyond the defense of its own territory. Since the beginning of the war, the Ukrainian army has managed to repel Russia's invasion attempts by putting up a great resistance. However, recent attacks show that Ukraine has begun to take a more aggressive stance in the war. The attack on the Marinovka military airport in the Volgograd region is the most concrete example of the war reaching the heart of Russia. According to Volgograd's governor, Andrei Bocharov, this attack is not a one-off incident. Previously, a drone attack took place at night at a military facility near the village of Marinovka in the Kalachevsky district, which caused a serious fire. Following this attack, Bocharov emphasized that the military facilities in the region were under increasing threat and that security measures needed to be increased. However, the measures taken were not enough, and with the latest attacks, Russia's military bases are under serious threat. Images of the explosions have started to spread rapidly on social media. In these images, it is seen that a large fire broke out at the airfield and the facility was largely destroyed by successive explosions. The severity of the fire and the magnitude of the explosions indicate that this attack was much more than an ordinary sabotage. These images shared on social media reveal the scale and impact of the attack, but they also reveal Russia's internal security weaknesses. Official sources in Russia have so far not commented on the incident. The Kremlin usually takes a cautious approach to such incidents, waiting for a thorough investigation before making details public. However, this silence makes it difficult to ignore the seriousness of the incident. The explosions and fire at the Marinovka military airfield raise serious questions about Russia's internal security and military capabilities. It remains to be seen how Russia will respond to this attack. If Ukraine targets Russia's military infrastructure with such attacks, it could radically change the course of the war. So far, Russia has made great efforts to show that it is in a stronger position against Ukraine. However, these attacks show that Russia is not safe on its own soil and that Ukraine's resistance is not only defensive, but has also turned into an offensive strategy. In this new phase of the war, Ukraine's strategic objectives and Russia's response to these attacks will be crucial. The incident in Marinovka demonstrates that Ukraine has the power to change the fate of the war and that it is unclear how Russia will respond to such attacks. Ukraine's pressure on Russian territory has radically changed the dimensions of the conflict. The explosions and fire at the Marinovka military airfield in the Volgograd region show that Ukraine has transformed its offensive into a strategy that is not only defensive but also targets Russia's internal regions. This is the clearest indication that Ukraine is taking a bolder and more effective position against Russia. Such attacks on Russian territory seriously challenge Moscow's efforts to keep the war away from its territory. Ukraine's targeting of Russian critical military infrastructure reveals serious weaknesses in Russia's defenses. These attacks, especially in strategically important regions such as Volgograd, reveal that the war has now moved into Russia's backyard and that the Kremlin is in a difficult position in the face of this situation. Despite these attacks, Russia is trying to appear strong with its claims of progress in Ukraine, while the Kremlin is trying to convince the public that significant gains have been made in Ukraine. The facts on the ground do not support these claims. While Russia appears to have made some progress, particularly in eastern Ukraine, it is unclear how sustainable these achievements are. Ukraine's resistance and recent effectiveness against Russia's hinterland have seriously called into question the strength and morale of the Russian military. Most of Russia's advances in Ukraine are seen as temporary successes. Although rapid advances were made early in the war, it soon became clear that this situation could not last and would be met with strong Ukrainian resistance. Ukraine has shown great determination both in defending its territory and in gaining strategic superiority by targeting Russia's hinterland. There are several claims that the Ukrainian army's Kursk offensive will spread to Belgorod and Bryansk in the coming days. However, there is nothing clear about their accuracy yet. But when we consider the losses Russia has suffered at strategic points, we can say that this possibility is quite strong and that the Russian army is facing new losses. What do you think? Why do you think Russian air defenses are unable to stop Ukrainian attacks? Will Russian air defense problems grow? What do you think about Ukraine's strategy of moving the war to Russian territory? Let us know in the comments. We read and care about your point of view.